Hi, everybody. Welcome to Presentation Hell. We're broadcasting here from Embark Collective and the studios here, the podcast studios. And today I'm welcoming Cassie Kackley. She is the Chief Development Officer of the Boys and Girls Clubs here at the Suncoast in Florida. Welcome. Good to have you here.
Yes, thank you. Excited to be here. Appreciate it.
We all know, I think not everyone knows, but we all know about the Boys and Girls Clubs.
I hope so, yeah.
So tell me about what it means to be the Chief Development Officer. What are you developing? What is the area that it's involved, and what do you have to do to make it happen? What do you do?
What do I do? Yes. So I have the great honor and privilege to work with thousands of youth across the Tampa Bay region to make sure they have what they need to succeed in life and in school, and getting them on track to eventually graduate from high school is our hope, with a plan for their future. So what does that mean for Chief Development Officer and Resource Development is the fundraising efforts, the marketing, and public relations associated with that. So I like to tell people I very much so feel like the voice for a lot of kids. I'm talking about issues that matter to them and their families, and what the community can do to step up and try to help.
Yeah, it sounds like it covers much more area than just one Boys and Girls Club, one loca. Like you're representing a whole region. How big's the region, and what does that mean that way?
Yeah, so I work with all Boys and Girls Clubs across Pinellas County. So that spans from Tarpon Springs all the way down to South St. Pete. So we purposely place our clubs in areas where the highest need is located. So we've got clubs and communities where kids can walk and have great access to all of our programs that we offer. And it's a lot of programs.
Oh, that's great. To everyone around the world, that's the west coast of Florida, right around Tampa Bay area.
Yeah, it's normally a great time or a great place to be, except for hurricane season, right?
Yeah, well, there is one off the East Coast right now that's going to affect us very soon.
There is, yeah. We're keeping our eye on that because we, of course, closely work with the school district as well with our programs. And so we always keep an eye and work in conjunction so we can help the community anytime a storm comes.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you do a lot of convincing. You're talking to a lot of people, making people understand, and on a community basis, which is very difficult because there's a lot of different thoughts and minds, and you have to kind of come together. Tell me some of the challenges you've had.
Yeah, as you can imagine, there's a lot of challenges, and I get to be the connector in a lot of ways. A lot of people want to help and want to get involved in organizations and make a difference in people's lives, but they don't know how to. And I also work with the community that needs help and needs access, and they don't know how to ask or where to go. So I very much so serve as the middleman, making sure that they connect with each other, and that brings different opinions and different people to the table, which brings, of course, some challenges. Just making sure everybody is speaking the same language and understanding.
So how do you do that? How do you keep them on the same? What are the tactics you use to do that?
A lot of listening. So I spend a majority of my time listening to what's important for the community and how they want to be involved, and then I listen from our kids and families on the needs that they have. And then I help communicate that to both sides, how they can get together and help the greater good. So,
what type of, the kids that are involved here, what would be a profile of a child that would benefit from what's done in this, or someone who's at risk that you would reach out and say, we have support tools to make this worthwhile for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're open to any child, regardless of age or circumstance. But a lot of the youth we tend to, have in our programs are involved are kids that may just need, extra support, or we serve as a second family or second home for a lot of those kids. So as you would your own child, if your kids came to you and said they were hungry, or your child needed extra help with tutoring, we make sure and help fill those gaps for a lot of kids.
So it's time and effort. It's attention. And if I can take that today, all social media is based on attention. Everyone, you go on Instagram and it's attention, 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 and that's who wins. And I don't mean that as that's kind of vapid in a way. What you're talking about is real life communication between human beings, where you're actually taking the time one-on-one to make a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's making sure that people feel valued and see that they're seen and that they matter. And how can we make sure our community steps up? And we have a lot of resources, a lot of great organizations throughout Tampa Bay region and throughout Florida. So making sure we're all doing our part any way that we can.
Okay, here's a somewhat separate question.
Yeah.
What was your path to get to this position? Where'd you come from, and what you obviously, I'm going to assume you went to school and you had some direction. What brought you here? What's your...
Great question. Do you have a lot of time? No.
No, take a few minutes. I'll tell you what. 60 to 90 seconds.
Oh boy, okay.
That's a lot of time.
It is, yeah. I'll try to go quick. But I'm a Florida native, born and raised. Grew up in Central Florida, Orlando, Disney World area. So came from a very Disney corporate executive family. And so I started volunteering early on and learned a lot about ways to give back to the community, the importance of that, and why that's such a critical thing that people need to do. And so I was fortunate I did that early on and started my path towards psychology, actually.
Oh, okay.
So my background's in psychology. Graduated from the University of South Florida and started working for, go Bulls.
Yeah.
Started working in social services, more social work side. So I was I call it the sad side, where you hear a lot of the sad stories and a lot of, challenges that people face. And on that side, I couldn't really do much to help them other than hear their stories and offer words of encouragement. And that's what got me into the nonprofit sector was that I call it the solution side. So we actually got to create solutions for people's problems. And I got to actually give things to people and be a part of some of the things that they needed extra help with. And got involved with Boys and Girls Club because when I was looking at longevity and careers within nonprofit industry, Boys and Girls Club was really helping to fill a lot of gaps because, not that feeding's important and housing important, but it's all really important and it all matters, especially with kids. So they have a lot of needs and they need to make sure they're getting all their needs so they can grow up and be the future leaders.
I get that.
Yes.
And from myself, I would come home from school, stick my thumb out, and get a ride to the boys' club.
Really? Yes.
After school in Reading, Connecticut. That is correct. And I was, that's called hitchhiking. We don't do that nowadays, by the way. But that was part of my life, and it made a difference at that time. I can't tell you the exact impact, but it was special that way.
Yes.
All right. Presentation Hell today was brought to you by Shuffler. Shuffler is presentation management. Presentation management manages communication throughout your entire organization. I noticed something. One of the things that you mentioned was you help the boys and girls present themselves better, teach them to speak to, and I shouldn't say they know how to speak, but how to address people properly. Like if you're going to sell yourself for a job, you might want to know it. Tell me a little bit of the techniques you've used or what's valuable or what you've seen good. And then I want to know what's gone bad.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you can imagine and know in business and in the workforce, it's critically important that you know how to present yourself, the soft skills that come along with that, the leadership development that comes through that. So one of our programs is our workforce development program where we have some amazing teens we work with and introduce them to the industries that are available in our market and across the country too. So we do a lot of trainings on soft skills and presentations, and we don't want their first time to be in a conference room for their first interview. We want them to be exposed.
The training, you put them through in front of their own class and ask them to put their stuff forward?
We do, yeah, in front of their own peers and also some business professionals. So we're fortunate we work with a lot of business partners across our area and, have them come in and join and, be a part of that process too.
So the techniques that you offer them, are they slide building? Are they connect by looking people in the eyes? Are they look at the audience, understand who you're talking to? Are they systems, warm up with a joke and get them comfortable and move into what you want to say? What are some of the techniques that, children at the Boys and Girl Scouts kind of need? Where do they start?
Yeah, all of the above. So we do a lot of the soft skills training. So how to look somebody in the eye, even down to dress, how to dress appropriately in the workforce as well, building decks and presentations so that when they enter a room for a potential job interview or, giving a great presentation for whatever reason, they're better equipped and better prepared. And it's a huge fear for people. So helping them get over that hurdle of, the nerves that come from that and taking advantage of the opportunities they have too.
Well, the huge fear, there is one thing said that, worse than death is public speaking.
Right.
And that's presentation hell, by the way.
Yep.
And that's a part of what's going on. So you're kind of getting to the piece there. So, in a way, I know this is another organization or not. It's almost like a big brother type situation. You're mentoring and helping and giving them guidance that only someone who cared about you would give you.
Yeah, absolutely. We look at it, all the kids that we work with are our own children. They're our future, right? And it takes a village. So it takes all of us coming together as a community to make sure that they have the guidance and, what they need to have successful futures for themselves. Right. A big piece of that is properly presenting and being able to carry yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So tell me one success story through presentation. One boy, girl that came in and just wasn't right, and tell me some unique piece. Tell our audience some unique story that way.
We have a lot of stories of amazing youth, but I'll pick one if I have
Just
to.
one, yes, one. That's everyone. Everyone connects to one story,
Right.
to one heart to heart.
Right. Absolutely. And we run a program every year. It's called our Youth of the Year competition. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it's where we bring in great teens, and they actually compete on a local level where they're interviewed by local business professionals. They have to go through a presentation process and give a speech and interview. It's a really rigorous process for a high school student. So we have our Youth of the Year child.
Tell me about one child.
Yes.
One, you can make up a name. Little Bobby came in and...
No, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
go ahead,
I've got
go
the
ahead.
one. Yeah,
I'm rushing
doing
you
the
along. Go
build-up
ahead.
right now.
All
Yeah.
right, go ahead.
So our Youth of the Year, Anna Zett, she's an amazing young girl that and teen that has grown up through the clubs, experienced our programs, got some great skills from our workforce program, and participated in our Youth of the Year in our workforce, and had a lot of challenges that she faced in life, and she's doing great, going off to bigger and better things, and graduating, and has plans for college for her future. And we have hundreds and thousands of kids that we have similar stories, and work through.
All right, this is the hard one.
Yeah.
Tell me one that was bad, that fell on their face, someone where your heart broke because you put them out there. By the way, when something goes bad like that, that is the best learning experience you will ever have in your life. Me being not such a young man anymore, I can tell you that one question I got wrong on a college test, but I can't tell you the other 99 questions that I got right when I should have gotten a 99. I wanted 100, but I failed that one question. Tell me one that went bad. I just told you one about me, so that was candid, right?
That was good. And the first one that comes to mind is a young lady that we worked with. She, was a young pregnant teen, had a lot of challenges in her life, and was living in a really terrible situation. And no matter what we did and how we tried to get her help and program support, they have to be ready for it too. You have to be ready and willing, and she was just not at a place where she was ready to get the help that she needed. So.
Was she put in front of an audience not ready, and you watched it happen? She
was. I think a lot of it too is just lack of confidence, and she just didn't have that confidence yet.
Well, tell me about the setting. Where was it? Was it in a conference room? Was it in the Boys Girls Club? Was it in a classroom?
It was in a conference space for her. So she, and it was in front of peers too. And I think when you're dealing with teens and dealing with kids, that's always a challenge too, because they can be really hard on each other and really tough. And
well, that's where you get your real feedback.
Right.
What do they say? There's no muzzle on it.
Yeah.
Parents have empathy towards the kids, and they're not as harsh.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So you were in a conference room. And in this conference room, so she's walking into what feels like a business environment.
Right, yeah.
And she's someone who's probably never been in that type of situation.
Exactly.
Even a classroom might not be as formal as that.
Exactly.
And what was her topic? She walks in, and what was her topic? What did she say?
She is to share her life story, to talk about herself, which oftentimes is some of the hardest topics to cover.
Yeah,
so
you're going into therapy here with someone.
You are, and you have to be willing and ready to share some of those personal, stories about yourself. And she froze, and got cold feet and ended up walking. And so, and that's what sparked.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
Ended up walking. What is it? She came in and froze. Did she stand and look and not say a word, and that 20 seconds seemed like eternity?
It did. That's exactly. Yep. And she stood and froze, got a little emotional, and then
the audience, when did they chime in to either save her, or did they chime in to heckle her?
Well, you're with teens, so a couple of them
I know,
started
that's why
laughing.
I asked the question.
Yeah, on the front end, and I think that's what caused the emotion. And then
it caused it to break down.
And then the adults in the space, gathered
That's so
and helped
sad.
her.
No, I understand that, and I not that I enjoy something like that. What I would enjoy is watching her kill a presentation in 3 or 5 years that lands her a job or something, where she walks in with confidence and knows that time sucked and it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
Because that's what I would hope for.
Yeah.
Not all of us learn experiences that way, but
yeah.
It
does. It takes, getting comfortable and getting used to it. So repetition, and that's where she's at now. She's just getting more and more exposed and, building that confidence for herself too. So
well, that makes
I have no doubt she'll have a bright future, but it takes the exposure, and one thing we try to talk to the teens about too, just not taking it personally. A lot of people will, the 80-20 rule, you'll please 80% of people in the room. You always have that 20% that may have a different opinion, but as long as you're, speaking your truth and you try to have some fun with it, try not to take it too seriously.
Well, I think you can use social media as an example for this, of the pain and success of that, in that sometimes criticism that way can be biting and harsh, and the sarcasm might be spot on. That's when it's the harshest, by the way, when something's spot on.
Right.
And that's when you learn the most. But to use something like that as an example, the people who win at social media, nothing sticks to them. They just don't care. It just moves on. And it's not that you don't care. They hear it. They listen to it. They just don't let it bring you down. You work on your strengths, and what's good about today will be better tomorrow because you know how to build on it. If you're building on the weakness of today, you will be weaker tomorrow because you build on it. It's your own mental trajectory, and that's, I'm assuming, those are the types of things that come forth.
Absolutely. And in that, it takes a support system. It takes good people around you reminding you of that, not to, feed into the negative that comes from online social media or, other platforms that are out there.
And also, I would, this is my unsolicited note from my own expertise, is letting them know the value of face-to-face contact in a presentation or any type of environment. Any presentation is meeting someone for the first time, being introduced to someone's parents, going for a job, bagging groceries, and the person paying coming through it. That's a presentation.
Yep.
Everything's a presentation. Whether Shakespeare said all the world's a stage. Well, all the world's a presentation. Same basic theory.
Yep.
And the moment you help give confidence there, I think you can help a lot of people going forward there.
Absolutely, hands down. And it just takes, understanding that. And for teens especially, learning that's a valuable life lesson there. So learning that as early on as they can.
So confidence is a big thing that you're teaching in the Boys and Girls Clubs.
Trying to build confidence, and the soft skills too, and just, we always say with our, initiatives too, especially centered around teens and presentation, exposure. They need exposure to, situations like this. We actually have a podcast program at our clubs just so they get exposure to different industries that are out there.
It's very good because, it makes a difference. And you get feedback and you learn and go through that. Excellent.
Exactly.
Well, that's a good lesson. Thank you for coming out here.
Thank you so much.
We want to talk about one other thing before we go here. And what is that?
That's Leadership Tampa Bay, the best class ever.
And what class is it?
23. Yeah.
Leadership Tampa Bay. We're both members of the class, and we're going through, and it's a very good program that benefits the entire Tampa Bay region. And we learn, we learn everything about the community, from transportation to the ports to education to health services to social services to the arts to sanitation to 911 services and the police and what else that goes on in the community.
Everything, yes. It encompasses everything.
And what it is every day we spend is a presentation on all these services. So all of the people, the 59 people in our group, have a great understanding, a in-depth understanding of the community, and in turn produces leaders. So thank you for coming out. It's good to see you. I'll see you more often than this. It's
Absolutely.
excellent.
I'll see you, every other week, right?
So, yeah, that's right. So thank you all for coming out to Presentation Hell today. And we're broadcasting from Embark Collective here in Tampa Bay. Thank you, guys.